Hello and a very warm welcome to the viewers to another video by reitspro.com. I'm Gaurav Jain. I'm an author and a trainer, and you can get a copy of my book when you visit our website reitspro.com, where there are plenty of other resources as well as you'll be able to see a link to join a WhatsApp community of REIT and InvIT investors. Today the topic is why I don't like small case, that we'll discuss in more elaborate form, and very briefly why I also do not prefer the SIP mode for investing in REITs and InvITs. So let's just start with what is a small case. As defined by HDFC Securities, a small case is a basket of stocks that reflects an idea, and for example rural demand or so on, and I'm just presenting you two small cases that they have on their website. One is a value and momentum portfolio, and the other is called a Shubharam. So there are hand-picked stocks here where you can just invest in this basket and forget about it, and it will be giving a return after a certain period of time as calculated by them. Obviously the returns are not guaranteed, but you can always take the advantage of a curated list of stocks. So this is what it would mean. But here in the context of REITs and InvITs, let us see how it works out. So if small case is a basket of stocks, then what are the options in REITs and InvITs? Well, there are very limited options. That's the first part. That's the number one point which goes against a small case in REITs and InvITs. So if you see, there are 3 InvITs which have been listed till now, and there are 4 REITs which are listed. REITs are Embassy, Mindspace, Brookfield REIT and Nexus Trust, and InvITs are the IRB InvIT, Indigrid and the PG InvIT. The second point is that if it reflects an idea, what is the idea when you have a basket of REIT or InvIT stocks? So if you see, the listed products can be divided into 2 parts: the REIT and InvITs. In REITs you have 3 office spaces and 1 retail REIT. In fact, in InvITs there are 2 power transmission assets and 1 road assets. The first point is that REITs and InvITs themselves are very different assets. The second point is that office space and retail are very different, and so are road and power transmission. So what is the central idea in which you could invest in a REIT or InvIT basket of, or a small case in REIT and InvIT? So to summarize, they are very different instruments. One is infrastructure, one is real estate. The second point is one could be a depreciating asset, the other could be an appreciating asset. Then the nature of contracts could be different. One is defined by government. Infrastructure contracts are government largely, and REITs are more about private contracts. Therefore, as you can see here, there is no real central idea which you can define and build a small case around. The third point is that it says that you can invest. So if you look at the words "you can," then does it really mean differently for each? I'm just trying to relate it to one snapshot. That's why I've circled this part. So does it mean differently for each? In case of, say, normal equity and equity mutual funds, what happens is that you have a very structured kind of a thing where there's a flat percentage of tax. So in case of long term, the tax is defined as capital gains and capital loss, taxed at 10%. In case of short term, it's defined as 15%, and that's about it. And the dividend income that you get is obviously part of your incomes. So, and this, however, is not the case in REITs. In REITs, there are tax implications for both capital gains and recurring incomes. Capital gains are more or less more on a flat basis, but the time periods are different. There is a video that we made separately for the tax impact on capital gains, which you can see. And recurring incomes, there are different scenarios. So for example, yearly payouts, this is a snapshot of yearly payout. You can pause here and see, and one is compared Mindspace and Brookfield and how it works out for people in different tax brackets. And even Mindspace, there is a different amount which is given out on the second column, the 10% is taxable. In case of Brookfield, 50% is taxable. Similarly, person 1 has a 30% tax bracket and person 2 has 10% tax bracket. So in this case, all that you are left with is also given here, and you could, according to this, you can find out what is the yield for you specifically. So if you see, the yields could be different for different people. That's what REITs and InvITs would come out to be. So it cannot be a one size fits all in case of REITs and InvITs as far as taxation is concerned. So okay, so next we say that okay, there is no small case, but there would be some dedicated mutual funds to help me do this. Well, mutual funds today have a limited exposure. Say for example, PPFAS has some exposure to REITs and InvITs, and there is also some fund of funds, but they have international exposure like the Kotak fund. So that's something that really doesn't give you exact exposure in Indian REITs and InvIT markets. The number 4 point is, then can a REIT and InvIT index help me here? It defines both a basket and an idea, right? An index. So the idea is that it's an index, and the basket, there are specified stocks. So let's also look into the REIT and InvIT index. I've made a separate video on the REIT and InvIT index, but here I'm recapping the same. So if you want to make a small case out of a REIT and InvIT index, this is the methodology, and these are the constituents. Again, what we observe in case of an index is that it has the same limitations. There are limited options, and there are different themes of infrastructure versus real estate. Additionally, the free float can skew the investment. So if you see, Embassy has a free float which is higher, and the weightage is around 33%. The second point is that inclusion of new stocks like Nexus could take time. We'll have to wait and see how this readjustment happens and how fast this inclusion happens. So all these could be limitations when you look at a REIT and InvIT index for investing as a small case or as a regular investment. So now coming to the SIP, the systematic investment plan, I'm just going to detail a little bit briefly here. There'll be a separate video on this, the SIP part, but essentially that it's a reinvestment game versus payout game in case of REITs. So in case of normal companies, there is more of retention, and only the excess is paid out. In case of REITs, 90% is paid out, of the cash flows is paid out as per the SEBI guidelines. So the parameters become very different when you are evaluating the normal companies and REITs. Therefore, the SIP may be counterproductive in case of, say, a REIT, where there is a different way of understanding. Now let's come to the most crucial part. Now we have seen the limitations, we know what's the problem. There are 4 points we've outlined here about the idea that's not there, about the basket that is different, and so on. And so what do we do now? So I would present to you a brief guide to investing in REITs and InvITs via flowchart. But before that, let me tell you that there is no substitute to educating yourself first for any investment, not only REITs and InvITs. So we also help you learn about REITs and InvITs through our training sessions. You can go to our website and see the training sessions and what suits you, or you can get in touch with us on WhatsApp on the website, and we'll help you understand your requirement. So let's come to the flowchart here. So let's say the first step that you have to do is you'll have to have a portfolio plan. So the very first step that you should look at is a portfolio plan. You cannot just go out and invest in REITs and InvITs as such. It should be a part of your larger portfolio plan. I know it sounds boring, but this is the real way. So one has to have that plan, and then you need to take out an investment amount from this portfolio plan, which is the REIT and InvIT combined plan. The third part is that you need to separate out how much you need to put in REIT and InvITs, and then do this as per individual choices of taxation, risks, and cash flows. So all this planning needs to be taken into account once you understand what REITs and InvITs are and what they can do for you. And that is very important for you to step into REITs and make some money out of it, and help you do what REITs and InvITs are meant to do. So if you like the video, please do connect with us Please do subscribe, and you can write to us at support@reitspro.com. Thank you for watching this video.